Hi, I'm Miami Beach Commissioner David Richardson. Yeah, I remember in 1968 my family moving from Maryland to Central Florida, and we landed about 10 miles north of Orlando. It was a few years before Disney decided to open, and I remember that the largest high-rise building in downtown Orlando at the time was 6 stories high. So about 12 years ago, I decided to step away from my consulting firm, and at the time I didn't really know what I was going to do and how I was going to fill my time. But I got involved in a couple of boards and committees, and one of those was the National Gay and Lesbian Victory Fund. And that's an organization that actively works to get openly gay and lesbian members of the community elected to public office. And so I was really just sitting on one of their boards, their fundraising boards, and got more involved, and people started asking me why I wasn't running for office. And it's funny because when I was a much younger man, I had thought one day I would run for office. And so then really a few months after I got involved with the organization, the state representative seat here in Miami Beach became available. I looked at it. Some of the local elected officials at the time were going to run and decided not to, and so I put my name in the hat, and literally 13 weeks later, I won. I think many people know that I'm the first openly gay person to ever win a seat in the Florida legislature in the history of the state of Florida. But for me, the public service is about giving back. You know, I've totally lived the American dream. I grew up in a family where my family struggled economically to make ends meet and really live paycheck to paycheck. So I bettered myself by going to college and getting one job after the next until I was able to have my own firm. And so for me, rather than spend the rest of my time working in that firm or another firm, I just want to use my resources to try to make sure, to the best I can, that other young people have the same promise and the same opportunities that I had when I was a young boy. So I think many people know that in 2015 I got involved in prison reform issues, and I really decided to champion those issues. So there's a little used law in the state of Florida that allows any sitting legislator to show up unannounced and walk right into a prison without delay. So I used that law to walk in to do inspections of more than 105 facilities. Some of those were repeat facilities where I had multiple problems and had to go back multiple times, but I would spend 3, 4, 5 hours on a visit, and because of my forensic audit background, I think I was able to see things in a way that maybe other people are not able to see them. I'm able to interview people in a way that maybe other people wouldn't interview them because of my background. And I exposed a lot of problems and a lot of corruption, and fortunately that work was reported on, and I feel like that my work really made a change. So I filed a bill in Tallahassee for 2 or 3 years where I wanted to ban conversion therapy throughout the state, and I couldn't get the majority party to even hear the bill, so it was just dead. And I heard about one city in the United States that had passed it locally. So I had this idea that maybe we should start doing the same thing in the state of Florida. So I remember going to the SAVE organization and talking to them about my idea, and I said, you know, John Alleman always told me that she wanted to work on these issues with me if I had something. So I went and talked to her about the issue, and you know, she immediately said she wanted to help. And so really within a matter of a few months, we were able to get that on the agenda and get it passed unanimously. You know, one of the things I love that the mayor says, I don't know if it's his first saying or he got it from somebody else, but he often says, you know, we create the boxes here that other people check, and it's so true. Miami Beach has been a leader on LGBT rights. And I'm so proud that Miami Beach was the first city in the state of Florida to ban conversion therapy. After we got it done here, I went to Miami, I went to North Bay Village, and got those cities also to ban, and now it's spread to other parts of the state of Florida. So I'm very proud of the work we're doing here in Miami Beach. So I very much believe in very active community policing. And so when I ran for office, I made it very clear that I wanted to be an advocate for enhanced community policing. So what does that mean? That means, for me, that officers are out of their cars more. It means they're on the street more, they're on bicycles, they're on foot patrol, they're engaging with the public in a more direct way. And I'm really hoping that we see a little bit more of that. I know we've got a new police chief. I'm very excited about some of the things that he's working on. And I remember telling the police chief that, you know, I believe strongly that we have to go and meet people in their community. So I think it's great to have the coffee with a cop and those sorts of events, but oftentimes we see the same people coming to those events that we see at a lot of other community events. So I would like to see us show up at a park where we don't have a scheduled event and just introduce people and let people know that our police officers are in the community and can be a friendly face. So many people know that I spent my career as a forensic auditor, and so not only looking at the books, but looking at the books in a different way to ensure that money is spent properly. So I've been now a certified public accountant in the state of Florida for 34 years, and I intend to use my experience to look through the budget in fine detail and to understand where we're spending our money and where we might have opportunities to cut some cost. Sometimes I feel like our community is very much divided along some core issues, and sometimes the groups aren't talking to each other to try to understand where the real differences are at. So the most important thing you can do to try to resolve an issue is to be an active listener. And so we really have to take a little bit of time to understand what issues are important to individuals, especially the individuals that might be differing with our particular platform. So being an active listener is very important. I've spent my whole career resolving disputes. That's what you do as a forensic auditor, is you come up with findings, you sit down with somebody and you say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, you're probably thinking something different, and let's talk about the issue and try to resolve it. So I'm very comfortable being in a room with people who disagree with me. That doesn't bother me and I don't take it personally. I just seek resolution. So I think many people know, because of my financial background, I'm very, very interested in accountability and transparency. So I think government needs to be open, government needs to be transparent, people need to see everything that we're doing, and we shouldn't be hiding anything. So that's very, very important to me. Another issue that was important to me on the campaign trail and continues to be as I serve now is the issues surrounding sustainability and sea level rise. We have a very unique situation here in Miami Beach, and I feel very, very strongly that we have to address our sea level rise issues. I think that if we fail to address it, if we even suggest or hint that we're failing to address it, that the mortgage industry, the insurance industry, and the other related industries will be affected by that adversely. So we really have to get on with this and do this good work. So I studied Spanish a little bit in high school, but then probably forgot about a lot of that. And it was about in 2001, I think I did a sabbatical where I spent about 3 months in Spain, and so I was able to study there. And then with living in South Florida, there's always an opportunity to be able to practice Spanish. My Spanish isn't perfect, but I do the best I can. I remember in 2012 when I ran for the state rep office, I went to Little Havana, I knocked on doors, and I spoke to people there in the best way that I could. And I remember people were like, who is this gringo knocking on my door, right? But I was very proud that in that election, which was my first election, I won every precinct except for 2 in Little Havana, which was pretty remarkable. Yo recuerdo, yo gané la primera elección en 2012 y yo creo que es posible para ganar cuando tú puedes hablar el español. I think the most important thing for me is that people will think of me as being fair-minded. Even if they don't agree with me, I hope that they'll acknowledge that I'm thoughtful and fair-minded. I remember my time in Tallahassee, I had a couple of situations where I was voting on some very difficult issues and contentious, and I had a couple of people call me and they were very angry at my position. And I just took the time to explain to them how I got to my position, how I made my decision. And I remember how the conversation went after that, in terms of they relaxed about it and they were generally like, wow, you've really taken the time to think about that. So I don't expect that everybody's going to agree with me on every issue that I'm voting on, but I hope people will know that I'm thoughtful and that I'm being fair-minded.